good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's had a good day today out there trucking. I hope that you all had one of the best days that you ever had. And the most important thing is that you made it home tonight. And if you're out there and you're listening to us, hey, stay safe on that highway tonight. And I'm just glad to see everybody in here today. I see some of you come on in here on the live today. So, hey, right here on this link right here, if you will give StreamYard permission to use your name in the comments, we can see your comments today. So, hey, and y'all can also call into the show tonight. We got a special guest with us tonight, Kelly Lynn, and I'm going to bring her in just a few minutes and introduce her to you. But just so glad everybody came in. Appreciate y'all looking at the Truckers Voices page every day and the comments that we get. Our page is growing. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to play a short video and bring Kelly Lynn in after the video, and I'll let her introduce herself to you. All right, here we go.
She's a two-stack Mac with a bunk in the back, and she's crawled from head to toe. She's got a screaming cat that won't hold back, so hammer down, boys, let her go. She's a lady of the night with her chicken lights, I guess a couple hundred or so. I get lost in the lines and the way she whines to that XM radio. Hey, Mr. DJ, play me a song. Want about trucking all night long. I got a girl, she's waiting at home for me. This old rig, she sure is fast, spinning them sides as she rolls past. The long haul trucker is all I'll ever be. Chicken lights and chrome, till I'm headed home. See us coming from a million miles away. She lights up the sky like the 4th of July. Truckers' favorite songs, Alabama's Roll On, and Chicken Lights and Chrome. She's lipstick red, man, she'll knock 'em dead as she rolls through the scales. She'll let the black smoke roll when I pour on the coal as she's blazing up the trail. You can bet all eyes out on 65 will have a shade from a shine. There's nowhere to hide, she's too damn bright. She's a burning up the night. Chicken lights and chrome, till I'm headed home. You can see us coming from a million miles away. She lights up the sky like the 4th of July. Truckers' favorite songs, Alabama's Roll On, and Chicken Lights and Chrome. Coming from a million miles away. She lights up the sky like the 4th of July. Truckers' favorite songs, Alabama's Roll On, and Chicken Lights and Chrome. Truckers' favorite songs, Alabama's Roll On, and Chicken Lights and Chrome.
All right. So what do y'all think about the Chicken Lights and Chrome there?
Man, I love that song. And I love Chicken Lights and Chrome.
So, Kelly Lynn, this is Mr. Steve Brand that's on the screen with us here.
Hi,
So,
Steve.
Hi, Kelly Lynn. How are you?
Steve, I'll let you just kind of introduce yourself to Kelly Lynn. Tell her where you're from, whatnot.
Yeah, I live outside of Dayton, Ohio, on the north side up here.
Ah, okay.
Little town of Tipp City, Ohio.
Yeah.
Been trucking 33 years. Go
Wow.
out and back every day, and well,
You're
I
still
know
doing
Tim.
it.
I know Tim.
Yeah, Steve and I,
Yeah.
we talk quite a bit every day there, Kelly Lynn. Now, Kelly Lynn, you notice I haven't called your last name yet, right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Because
It's a tongue twister.
I did not want to butcher it, so I'll let you introduce yourself. Just give us a little bit of your background, where you're from. Just tell us a little bit of your story.
Yeah. So it's Kelly Lynn McLaughlin, and it changes depending on what part of the country you're in. It could be McLaughlin or McLaughlin or whatever. It just doesn't really matter. But so I do not have decades of experience in the trucking industry as you two do, and I am just always impressed when I meet a million miler. And before I tell you about myself, the one thing that I always do whenever I meet a million miler is I ask them for their one piece of sage advice. So, gentlemen, what would you say?
Go ahead, Steve.
Slow down, take your time, and always double check.
Yep.
Well, I have a motto, and I spout that motto out every day. And when I'm out there on the highway and I'm absolutely looking out for everybody else, but also, I look out for those who aren't looking out for themselves. And I say that every day. And, I've always said, if you expect something to happen, you can react to it faster. So I expect stuff to happen out on the highway. And, that's taken me a long ways, because it's just kind of like instinct, being a trucker. You kind of know when somebody's going to cut you off or whatnot. So I kind of expect it. And it doesn't frustrate me by no means,
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing that I have learned about trucking is that it's okay to just take a breath and slow down. I'll get there when I get there, and I'd rather get there all in one piece with no damage to anything, including myself or others. And so I'm good with just taking a deep breath and taking it easy.
Taking it easy.
Yeah. So a little background on me was that I thought when I was young, I was going to be a pilot. I even got accepted into the Air Force Academy, and I was first alternate. And there was me and this other kid that, we applied to all the academies, and all I wanted to do was fly. And I actually already had my pilot's license, well before that. And the kid got the slot and I didn't. So I was first alternate. And then, so I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to go overseas and go travel Europe. And turns out he washed out like right off the bat. And then I got this phone call saying, oh, you can go. But, I was off in Europe, and I decided to postpone that. And then it just turns out that my eyes weren't what they needed to be, and I wouldn't have made it anyway. So I went to college, still didn't know what I wanted to do, went to Peace Corps and found, more language skills. And I learned a lot about other cultures, and I learned a lot about myself, and spent a decade working in the rural parts of Nepal and Indonesia and a whole bunch of other countries. And then when I had children, I had to settle down. That galloping all over the country and the world was not going to cut it. So I got involved in passenger safety and worked for NHTSA and Safe Kids. And so my trajectory, I think, into trucking was kind of logical from NHTSA. And I was being a parent volunteer at the high school marching band. I got asked to be the director of logistics. I had no idea what that meant. And it was 350 kids, $350,000 budget, 80 volunteers I had to coordinate on and off the field and at every performance. It was a huge show. and we had 5 trailers, and one of them was a 53-foot low belly old moving trailer that had been repurposed for us. And we had all sorts of lifts and hydraulics and, double decker on the inside. It was very specialized, tons of things that always break and replace. And I realized after the first year of doing this that the guy that was having the most fun was the volunteer dad truck driver. And he said from the get-go, he got in my face and he's like, don't put anybody in my tractor cab. I'm alone. I'm solo. I was like, hey, dude, whatever. And finally, after a year, I was like, I'm actually your boss and I want to ride in the tractor. We were headed to Indy for a big show. And then he's like, okay, fine. And I got my ride in the tractor, and he was Mr. Chatty. He was super nice. He was happy, and I was just smitten. It was the closest thing to flying that I had encountered in the longest time. And so I just said, I wish I could do this. And because I guess, I was like a lot of people in the country that think that you got to be strong and manly and have some sort of diesel background or something in order to be a professional driver. And I just didn't think I could do it. And I was shocked that, I encountered something that I didn't think I could do. And he said some really powerful words to me. And that was, you can do it. And I was like, well, I don't know if you're telling the truth. And he's like, yeah, you go get your learner's permit. Then you learn how to drive. You take your test, you go get a job. He's like, just like driving a car. And I thought about it. And, I was like, when I'm old and I'm laying on my deathbed, do I want to be the granny that said, gee, I wish I had done that? And the answer was no. So then I had to just go do it. And I did. And I found out that it was hard, but I loved it. And I just can't imagine doing anything else now. And as much as I loved it, because I was new and fresh into the industry, there were all these questions I had about why is this way? And I thought there was a lot of room for improvement. So I just made it my kind of journey as part of my professional development to start asking the people that make the decisions that affect me questions. I wanted to have conversations with those people. Not that I wanted to say that, everything's wrong, it needs to be tweaked, but I wanted to understand why some things were the way they were. And if they were just that way because that's the way it's always been done, then, challenge them to rethink that business model. And that led from going from a Schneider driver and a trainer to being the driver ambassador for Women in Trucking Association 2 years ago. And it's been a great journey. And, I'm very proud to be their driver. I'm the first driver ambassador for that nonprofit. And I get to talk truck all the time. I just never get tired of it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty impressed. One, that you can fly.
I used to. I mean, I haven't done that in ages.
So I listened to some stuff on you the other day, just kind of prepping for the show today. So tell us some of the airplanes that you have flown before.
Well, the Cessnas. And I flew this old Mustang that's a World War II airplane. So I got my wings through Civil Air Patrol. And when I was doing this, I started when I was 14, which was the earliest you could start, right? And I actually had my pilot's license before I had my driver's license, not by much, but just by a little bit. And the guys that were the instructors were these guys that were grandfathered. They were flying planes before there was even such a thing as a pilot's license, right? And so some of them had actually flown these planes, and the airport that we flew out of in Oklahoma City had just tons of really cool old planes. So I did get to fly this old Mustang. And then when I was in high school, I got a scholarship to go fly T-38 jets at Vance Air Force Base. And interestingly enough, my instructor was a female. And this was probably in 1981. And so women hadn't even been allowed to fly in the Air Force for very long at that point, and to have the opportunity to have a female trainer in this jet was, I didn't realize how unique it really was. And now I have a daughter who's 21, and she's studying to be a commercial pilot herself, and she's going to way surpass me. She's already, she's doing the double engine and yada yada.
So did you say a T-38?
Mm.
So I see the T-38s flying around. I live close to an Air Force base, and I see the trainers flying around all the time. And those are pretty neat little planes, pretty fast little planes too.
Oh boy. Yeah. You got to wear a G suit with those things.
Yeah. So another thing that I was impressed with, I actually got your voicemail the other day, and I didn't know exactly what you were saying until you said it in English. She knows quite a few languages.
No, the point is that those are all languages I studied,
Okay.
but can I speak in all those languages? No, some of those languages, I only remember how to say hello and, count a few numbers. But I can still speak Spanish, and I can give you a fair stab at French.
Yeah. So Steve, I'm going to step out of here, and you got any questions that you want to ask Kelly Lynn?
So Kelly, what are you driving now? You're driving the truck for Women in Truck?
Yes. Well, so I work 2 weeks out of the month for Schneider, hauling loads for them. And you've got a picture of my brand new fancy pants wrapped tractor, right? She just got wrapped last week. I'm so happy.
Oh, let's see. I don't know if I downloaded that one.
Oh, well, can I share a screen?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, wait a minute. Here, I got an easier way to do this. I'll just pull it up on my phone. Anyway, so I have a Freightliner 22 or 2020, and all right, so she's so pretty. You're just going to be amazed. Okay. Can you see this picture? Oops. There we go.
Back it up some.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So her name is Amelia, after Amelia Earhart. And so I drive 2 weeks out of the month to answer your question. 2 weeks out of the month, hauling loads and training. And then 1 week out of the month, I'm driver ambassador for Women in Trucking. So 2 part-time jobs make 1.5 jobs, right?
Okay.
And then, yeah. And so for 2 years ago, when I took this job with Women in Trucking, I was supposed to be hauling an educational trailer. But when I got hired, it didn't exist at that point. They were still building it. It's still not finished. Thank you, COVID. But she is supposed to be finished in March, and she's going to have a driver simulator in it. And did you pull down the picture that has the inside of the educational trailer or the outside?
Let's see, Kelly.
It's a big red trailer that looks like my tractor.
I've got a picture of you standing in front of the TAT trailer is what I got. So
okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, anyway, she's pretty impressive. And inside she has a driver simulator and these video kiosks. And there's 3 videos about safety, how to share the road with us, the technology that keeps us safe, and how to, trip plan and stay safe while you're out on the road. And then stories from women in the industry, successful stories. And then there's a driver DNA. Do you have the DNA to be a driver? A questionnaire, and you guys know not everybody's cut out for this job, right? Right. So you might make a really good associate, a planner, a safety officer, but maybe driving's not for your jam. But also truth and, factor fiction about truck driving. And it's really surprising how much people don't know about us. And I'm just always trying to break down those barriers as I go about my job being the driver ambassador, and share good stories and put some questions out there, like why do we still do some things the way we do? And with Women in Trucking, it's given me an opportunity to kind of network with other women and kind of flesh out some of those thoughts and put them out there. I do a blog for them once a month. And then I try and do one video clip a week. And it might be a day in the life of a driver. What does it look like at my customer? What time did I get up? What did I cook? What's my shower look like today? Did I find parking? And it might be driver tips, on trip planning. How do you tell if your tire's a fail versus, you can still run a few miles on it, or, what is DEF? How does it work? That kind of thing.
Right.
So
now, you said something earlier that the gentleman told you can do whatever you want, or you can do it.
Yeah, that's all he says. You can do it. I mean, holy cow.
That brings back to when I was coaching baseball, when my son was playing baseball. And when I go out with groups of kids today and teach Share the Road and stuff, that's one of my favorite lines. You can do it. You can do anything that your heart desires. Just give it your all and go for it. Yeah.
And I mean, so there's points in your life, and are both of you parents? Have you raised kids?
Yes.
Okay. So there's points where, it's a pivotal moment in that kid's life, and you don't know what that moment's going to be. Right. But in statements like that, you can do it, are so impactful. And he had no idea when he said those words to me, how impactful it was going to be, that it really was going to resonate in my heart and open up my doors and give me the confidence to do that. I mean, it's just, so that's a lot of what my message is to people considering this industry, is that if that's what it took, I had to hear somebody else to say it for me to believe it, then I want to say it too. So hopefully they can believe it and it resonates with them. And, we all have bad days where we're like, oh, what was I thinking? Maybe I need to find a different career. But there are still so many more positives for me in this industry than there are challenges or headaches. And we are needed.
I've been saying what you just said for 33 years. I ask myself every day, why did you do this? Why? I did this because I like to travel and I like to help people. And you think about every load we haul helps people. I mean, that's why I do what I do. And now, the safety thing, that's always been a big in the front of my head. Started in the back, come right to the front. Safety first.
Well, it's the only way you're going to get home to your family, or the rest of your life, if is to put safety first.
Exactly. And that's kind of one of my taglines is, the most important trip of the day is the trip home. I mean, I've got a wife and 3 children. All my children's grown. 2 of them's out of the house. The third one, he's going to college to be a paramedic. He's on 2 fire departments. I never seen him. I hardly ever seen him. But
well, I have to say that, I don't know what kind of, obviously I drive a 2020 Freightliner. She's got lots of sensors, and I drive for a large company. And so they're always keeping an eye on me. And when I get dinged.
Hold for a minute. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When I get dinged with, you're going too fast, or you hit the curve too fast, or whatever, it's always when I'm in a hurry or at the end of the day and I'm tired and I'm just trying to get home.
Right.
And I constantly have to remind myself, I'm at the end of the day. I want to get home. Just take a deep breath, slow down. I don't want to hear that ding.
Kelly Lynn, we had a call that's coming in. So Mr. Dave Schroeder's calling in. Dave, do you have a question for Kelly Lynn?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, great. First of all, that's an awesome looking truck. I love the wrap that they did on it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
My question. Well, first of all, to say that I am an advocate for women in trucking would be an understatement. Since my mom, at the age of 54, became a professional truck driver, so I applaud every woman that moves forward and takes on this challenge. And you're right, it's not easy, and it's not for everyone. So my hats off to you, and congratulations. My question was, the Women for Truckers Association, I think that's what you said, that you represent. Where have you taken, where have they sent you so far on missions?
Well, I've been doing public events and speaking engagements for 2 years now, but without the educational trailer. With the exception of last November, I took her to Dallas it's Women in Trucking Association, and they go by the acronym WIT, WIT. And we had a big conference last year. We do it every year for Accelerate. And I took Whitney, the educational trailer, down there, but she didn't have her stairs built out and her back doors. So we had to have the people that make stairs for sets and concerts and stuff like that come and build us stairs temporarily so we could get all the people in and out. So that's what she's having done right now, is having the stairs, but trying to get the materials and get the aluminum anodized and all that kind of stuff evidently is taking forever. But she will be at MATS. If anybody's listening that is going to MATS, I will be there with her, hell or high water. and then from then on, once a week I will be somewhere. I'll be at MATS, I'll be at Iowa 80, I'll be at Texas A&M International University down in Laredo and doing some events with them, and just several of our sponsors, and I'll be at Waupun up in Wisconsin at that truck show, and who knows? I mean, she's.
Do you have? Are you able? Well, how do I question this? We have, matter of fact, I see that Mr. Steve Brand is wearing one of the shirts. Safety Drive for a Cure coming up here March 12th. Is there any way you can display that unit down there? March
no,
12th?
Not yet. I'll be doing good to get her at MATS on time. Yeah.
Okay.
That much, but after that, then.
So you do have a full schedule laid out?
No, I still have several months in the year that are still open, actually. So, but you can find me at Kelly Lynn at womenintrucking.org, and send me an email, and then, we'll see, because what I'm hoping to do is group several events. Like, say I go to Georgia, that I'll hit several CDL schools in the Atlanta area, and then maybe do an event in Georgia or do something on the way back. And so I can hit as many opportunities as possible to show off the trailer, because she is pretty snazzy.
So I got your information up on the screen right now, Kelly Lynn. So if anybody wants to get in touch with her, there's the information right there.
Mm-hmm.
You got any more questions for her there, Dave?
No, I'm gonna get off here and continue with the show. Thank you for answering those questions for me, and thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it. All of us do.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. That was fun.
Yes, it was.
All right. So Kelly Lynn, tell me a little bit about your training when you was training to be a trucker.
Yeah. I went to a CDL school that I would not recommend.
Okay.
And I am pretty sure they were laundering money and not really focusing on training or quality equipment. But I did make it through. And I figured out pretty quick when I was driving for the band with the other dad that he was not the best trainer for me. That's not what he was there to do anyway. And I needed more time, experience. I needed miles under my belt. So I wound up going to Schneider, and I did not know. I was so clueless about the industry. I didn't even know the right questions to ask in the interview when I was trying to pick a carrier. I wound up going to Schneider because one of my friends from CDL school went, and he said they really walk their talk when it comes to safety. And he knew that was important to me. And so I wound up going there. I had a really great experience. I met so many incredibly experienced and smart people. And one of the reasons I was just going to be there a year, get, enough experience and knowledge to buy my own tractor and start my own business. But I quickly learned that I'm not really a mechanic and I don't want to be a mechanic, and that I didn't want to take the risk to own my own equipment at that time. And I appreciated having an expert available to me, no matter what the question was, whether it be hours of service or something mechanical, or whether it be, how to survive on the road and trip planning and whatnot. And so I like that safety net, but very frequently, almost once a week, I get an email from a woman who had a really bad experience at the onboarding part of her training. And I don't know why we are still, it's 2020. We know what harassment is, right? And we know what is a safe environment. And to put women up to share a sleeper berth with someone of the opposite sex who is also their boss, their, supervisor, and, to make them run in a team situation where they're actually not even supervised and they're running the night shift is not a recipe for success. And I just, for the life of me, don't understand why we were having this conversation about whether or not it's okay to put a woman in a sleeper berth with someone of the opposite sex. I mean, like, really? So I was lucky that I wound up with this carrier, Schneider, 6 years ago. They had made that decision long before I came along that, if you had people of the mixed gender in a cab, somebody stayed in a hotel every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a safe environment. It's a learning environment, and they don't operate on teams. So the trainer is training, that we work the same 14-hour clock when I'm training someone, and it's a quality learning environment. That's how you get good drivers. And, I just had a meeting earlier today with a bunch of people in the industry. And, I shared this story about this woman that came to me, and she said it took her months to get over that incident that happened to her while training over the road. And she finally had gotten to the point where she wasn't going to let that stop her from entering the industry and succeeding. But she had to take some time off, deal with that, and find that inner superpower in order to be able to do it. And she's like, please, can you tell me what to do? How do I find, the right kind of carrier for me? And there are so few that offer that kind of training environment, but Schneider's one of them. And there's a few others out there. And, I think we're going to make some headway in training environment over the next few years.
So Steve, hold on just a minute. So let's take a little break, and let's breathe, and I'll play a little short commercial here, and we'll come back and we'll jump right back into it. And Steve, you can ask the next question. I think I know where you're going, Steve.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've got you on we're on like 3 panels here. And can you just kind of back up a little bit from the camera? I had somebody text me. Yeah, and go to your right a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
So we're only seeing half of you, okay?
Oh, well, you don't need to see the whole thing anyway.
It's my fault. I'm such a big guy. I take up a lot of room here.
Yeah, that guy right there.
Oh. Can't help it, Tim.
Okay, so where are you going with that question about training?
It's not so much about training.
Mm.
I know in 2017, I become America's road team captain, and we had 7% of our industry was made up of females.
Right.
Our 4%, I'm sorry, is 4%.
I thought
And
it was
about
3.
a year or so ago, it went up to 7%. I haven't looked and checked into it. What percentage of our industry do you know right now is made up of female drivers?
Well, it's not everybody's keeping that data, but the closest we can get right now is about 10%.
10%.
But
Okay.
when I started, I was told it was 3%. So that would be 6 years ago. So we have tripled it
Right.
in the recent years, which is awesome. But like females are 50% of the workforce, and we have a lot of truck seats that are empty.
Right.
So there's a lot of opportunity here. And I was just talking to one carrier tonight, and they said that in order to get more drivers in the seat, they're really having to reconfigure their driving positions and provide a lot more shorter, like relays and just shorter runs so that they can get people home more often. And that the young people coming into the industry, and especially since COVID, time at home and quality of life is important. I mean, that's one of the things that we learned about COVID is, how busy we were just running around and working, and that life is valuable, and
Right.
we want to enjoy it, and we want to enjoy it with the people that we love. So, there are a few carriers that get it, and they're starting to make those adjustments. Like even at Schneider right now, they have 3-day-a-week jobs. You would have never heard that 3 years ago, a 3 or 4-day-a-week job.
Let's put it this way. 33 years ago, when I stepped foot in a truck, I didn't know when I was coming home.
Yeah.
I was gone 4, 6, 8 weeks at a time. I had a good friend of mine. He was actually an owner operator. He left on January 2nd. And if you seen him before July 4th, you was very, very lucky. But that was in the late 80s. Things have changed. And that's what I try to tell people want to get in this industry. There is so many opportunities out there to be home every day, every other day, third day. You set the precedence. You pick what you want, And with that being said, I do have a question. What is your opinion of the Safe Drive Act, the 18 to 20-year-olds?
Before you answer that, let me tell you, we have discussed this over the past 2 episodes. So now you're coming into what we've already discussed. So go ahead. We're interested.
Well, I get asked that question a lot, and there's actually an organization out there called Next Gen. Are you familiar with them? They're a nonprofit. So they're Patterson High School. Are you familiar with them? Out in California. Okay. Well,
no, I've heard of them. I have.
Yeah. So Patterson has been working with, they realized a long time ago that from high school to 21, there's a lot that can happen in those years. And we haven't provided much for those kids in that age range in our industry to capture them before they go off and find something else to do. So Patterson High School, a long time ago, started this program with high school students to introduce them to commercial truck driving. They go through a CDL training program, but it's part of a curriculum, not really, I don't know what to say. They're not really going to go out there and be over the road drivers because they're just graduating out of high school, but it gives them a taste. And I do find it kind of silly that, we've had the intrastate younger drivers, and in a tiny state, they can't go very far, but in a state like Texas, they can get some miles under their belt, and it's just not equitable. So I think with the extra training and the extra time supervised that these young kids are going to get in this program, I'm comfortable with it. And the bad ones, like how many companies are going to have patience with drivers that are tearing up their equipment and practicing unsafe maneuvers and, not able to, follow the rules of the road and have, manage their time properly and have violations. They're just not going to put up with it. And the kids that aren't mature enough to do that will get weeded out. Right. And, but yet those other kids that are willing to put in the work and drive safe and stay drug free, they have a great career ahead of them. I just, and they're probably much better with technology than some of us oldie moldies.
Yeah. So we got a question here in the comments here. It says, do they have trucks to drive in controlled environments at Patterson High School? Do you know that answer?
They do get in trucks and they're in a yard.
Okay.
I don't think they take them out on the road, but I don't know that for sure. But they do have they do have hands-on experience with the trucks.
Okay. I'm going to back up to one comment here. James Clark says there's also needs to be more amenities for female drivers. Do you find that statement to be true?
Absolutely. But it's not just me. Wouldn't you like to have some nice heated and cooled flushers as well with an actual toilet seat? I mean, it's not just me. It's not just ladies. And I'll tell you what, in the last 3 months, I have been locked in a bathroom at a shipper 3 times.
What?
Yes.
What?
Because their equipment is so broken and worn out that you go in the door and like the doorknob falls off, or you go in the door and it accidentally locks. But what are you going to do? Like, I'm in the bathroom all by myself. The door locked itself. I really did have a doorknob handle that the door wouldn't shut quite right. Like, the guys just didn't shut it. Right. So there I was pulling and shutting and shutting. I got it shut, but I also pulled off the door handle and I was stuck in the bathroom. Yeah. It's happened to me 3 times because they don't take care of it. They think we're the ones that break their equipment. And yeah.
So let's take a quick little break again and we'll move into our next question. Okay.
All right.
All right. I love it when it goes to video and it just blocks Steve out.
I noticed that Steve was the truck.
I'm as big as a truck.
No. But I love that music too. It just reminds me of the old cowboy days.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. The good, the bad, and ugly, right? Sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So current events, and we all kind of been following it with the Canadian trucker strike that's going on. Not strike, but the convoy. Let me classify it right. What's your opinion? What's your opinion of that, and what's your opinion of the possible convoy in America here?
Okay, so you're asking all the hot topics.
Yes.
Okay, you guys are not going to like me on this one. So let me just tell you that a year and a month ago, I had COVID. It was before the vaccine was available to the regular public, and I almost died. They actually did not know if I was going to make it. They sent my daughters in to give me my last hug, and
wow,
I was out of work for 30 days. Then my first public event for women in trucking was in August at Waupun, and the Big Rig Show in I think it's like Chippewa Falls, I think. And I got Delta. And this time I was vaccinated, so I wasn't nearly as sick. But I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and to go in and go to a restaurant, you have to show your vaccination card just to get in and eat. right? So I get it. People don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick.
No,
I didn't want to be the one that was sucking on the oxygen tube, not knowing if I was going to make it or not. Right. And I
right.
don't want Omicron. I don't want any of my family. And next week I'm going to a funeral for a friend of mine that got COVID and died. So I like all Canada's trying to do is protect their borders, right? And they're just asking you to be vaccinated before you come in their country. And frankly, if the Canadians come over here, I want them to be vaccinated when they come in. And I had to go to Mexico for a conference in July, and I had to show that I didn't have COVID to get in the country. I'm okay with all of that. And a friend of mine, I was actually on the phone with a Canadian friend that owns a Canadian trucking company. And I was like, hey, how you doing? And she's like, oh man, it has been a rough 3 weeks. And I was like, what's going on? And she said, not only the blockade of the bridge, but she said that out of all of their drivers, they had one that's not vaccinated. And he wound up getting COVID, giving it to 4 of her other drivers. So she was down 4 trucks and half of the office staff. So she's like, we nearly had to shut our doors because it hit us, and it hit us hard. And she has no patience for, no patience for what's going on. And it's hurtful to everybody that the flow of goods between our country is being stymied. I'm actually also a member of NASCO, the North American Strategy for Competitiveness. And that organization just focuses on cross-border trade between Mexico, United States, and Canada. And our partners are hurting because we can't get things back and forth across the border. And I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that people get vaccinated, but that is a hot topic, is it not?
It is. We've been discussing it a little bit, over the last couple of weeks. I do have a couple comments. We're going to backtrack a little bit because I think that it is absolutely imperative that we answer some of these questions. So this is coming from Mr. Tom Hawks here. It says, for the most part, how are most women drivers accepted at shippers and receivers?
Well, for the most part, it's great. I really don't feel like, the only time that I know that I'm a woman working in an industry where there's a lot of other men is when I have a bathroom issue, and with this training issue, the cross-gender training in confined areas. But I don't really see a whole lot of difference. I mean, like, if you can do the job, you can do the job. But I will say that, like 6 years ago when I started, there were some places that I went to and they were not used to seeing female drivers. And if I was backing into a dock, literally they, all the dock guys would say, hey, it's a girl backing up, let's go watch and see if she can do it. And it was very nerve-wracking, but I just don't get that anymore.
Okay.
I just don't get it.
The next question is, with the rise in crime, do you feel safe as a woman on the road?
If I didn't feel safe, I wouldn't be doing it. But
good.
Safety is, it's preparedness. It's being prepared, making sure that you make the right decision, that you do tip planning, that you're not, choosing to park in unsafe areas or walking, not paying attention to what's going around you, not wearing your high vis. Yeah, I mean, it's trip planning when it comes to safety.
Yeah. And so trip safety is planning. And that answers the second part of that question there. Any other tips that you can give any other female drivers that would keep them safe?
Trip planning is the number one. I had a police officer tell me that your number one safety tool is your cell phone, because you can help. It can find you no matter where you are. And they said, also, if someone, gets in your bubble space, that you have a weapon to hit people in the throat. And if you take away someone's air, you have the opportunity to get away.
Right.
And he's like, it's a double whammy. You never go anywhere with your phone. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what do you do whenever you're parked at a rest area or a truck stop? What do you do to secure your cab?
I lock my doors, and I know that my carrier for my make and model and yada yada has multiple keys out there that will fit my truck. We all know that carriers that have a lot of trucks, even some carriers that only have a few trucks, they key them all the same. But I, like I pick lit spots, and I lock my doors. I don't run straps through and do all these complicated things. And I'm just safe about where I park. And as you guys know, I mean, like, we're all out there keeping an eye out for each other. We want to do our job and get some exercise and make some phone calls and go to sleep and start the next day. And 99.99% of us out there are good people just doing a job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can still count on truck drivers to help truck drivers.
Yeah. And I wish more people, like when they see a driver struggling, I wish more people would help them out instead of making fun of them on the CB or, just sitting and watching a new driver struggle, or even a tired driver struggling. Some days, those days are just long, and it's like, oh Lord, please just let me get in that spot. I need to shut down. Right. And, there's, sometimes I wish we would help each other out a little bit more, but overall, I feel safe. And I do what it takes to be safe. And if I really thought that, I was at risk, I just wouldn't be doing this job. I don't need any added stress in my life or risk.
Right. Exactly. All right, so we're getting close to winding the show down. I do have one question. It goes by really fast, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And so I'm going to play another little short video clip, and I got one more question to talk to you about, and then we'll go to the last part of our show. Okay. Bye, Steve.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Welcome back, Steve.
Hello.
All righty. So let's talk a little bit about truckers against trafficking.
Yes.
I'm
on their advisory council as well.
Okay. And I am an ambassador, and Steve's an ambassador also. And I've had the opportunity to speak to different groups about, the problem that we have with trafficking and modern day slavery. You might as well call it what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's a very important thing. And anybody that's listening to us tonight, I would encourage you to go to TAP's website or download their app and get TAP certified, because you think you might know what to look for, but unless you have the training, you really don't know what to look for. So with that said, Kelly, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I think the main thing that is unique to Truckers Against Trafficking is they're out there to help. The traffickers are using our infrastructure, the lane we use to make money. They're also using it to make money for themselves. And truckers are not the problem, but we're in a really good spot to be able to see some of the problem, see something, do something. Although a lot of the trafficking is actually moving towards hotels and Airbnbs, so they can be in and out of an Airbnb and nobody will be able to track them down very quickly. But it's still happening. It's still an issue, and it's sad. And I often get a question. Well, I don't know. People just think they don't know. They think the truck stops are full of truckers, and there's sex workers all over the place. It's just not the case. I'm like, no, you got it all wrong. We are the good guys. And we just see what's happening. We're not the abusers. And, but I do get angry when I hear chatter on the CB that indicates that someone's trying to make a profit on somebody else in the sex industry. Recently, I was driving through, wasn't Mississippi. It was either, I think it was Tennessee, but I was coming down a highway and I heard on the CB that someone was offering young women up for sale, and they had a bunch of different names, stereotypes or whatever. And at first I thought, this is a joke. It's been so long since I heard anything like that on the CB. And whoever was doing that was clearly, is a bad joke, and or they're just really stupid, right? Because they even gave their location. So I listened for a little bit, and then I figured out where they were, and I called the hotline and I reported them. And I told them exactly what they were saying and where they were. I'm like, go get them.
Right.
It's just, it really made me angry. But I'm like, if he's going to be that stupid, like, he's just not going to last long, right? I'm going to report him.
Exactly. It's better to make a call and it be nothing than not make that call and it be a big something.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I'm sitting here all day long. I'm watching all the traffic go by. You're starting to turn the corner now. We're going to get into spring break. You're going to get travelers, campers, and you just, like they teach you in TAP, they blend in with the public. They blend in with their surroundings. So, and they'll trip up. I mean, they'll trip up, but it's better to make the call and it be nothing than not make the call at all.
Yeah.
And someone to stay in a lifetime of abuse or slavery.
Yeah. So I'm really glad to be part of that organization, and I was very honored when they asked me to come on as one of the drivers on their advisory council. And we have our meeting here in a couple of weeks too. So I haven't had an opportunity to tell Candace that story yet, but I'm hoping, I never found out what happened, but I'm hoping that it had a happy ending for the other people. But there is one thing that I want to share with you guys that we haven't talked about yet. Okay. And it's technology. So not only did I get the fancy pants wrap, the picture on my truck this last week, I also had Mirror Eye installed, and I'm one of a 200 truck pilot that Schneider's doing with Mirror Eye. So I am in the process of discovering if I'm too old to retrain my brain.
You're never too old.
I'm hoping that is the case, because I still have my 6 mirrors, and then I have 5 screens. And so I'm in the newbie stage. So it'll take me about a year. I mean, I'm sorry. It'll take me about a month to hopefully retrain my brain and then remove my mirrors and just have the cameras. But right now I'm in this stage where I'm using the cameras, but I'm checking with the mirrors and trying to compare what I can and cannot see. And so far, the camera system has been amazing. Like, the night vision is almost like daylight. The sun glare that you get off your mirror or from high beams is gone. I mean, like, no more cussing about the people driving around with their high beams on behind me. Now, it still doesn't do anything about the ones in front of you. I can pan out the mirrors and look more. I can zoom in, and I have one extra. I have a 5th screen that looks straight down at my steer tire, so that it's, that completely blind area right there, right between, like where your steps on the passenger side to your steer hub. And so, all those rocks that our customers love to put right where we need to be backing up, and those yellow poles and stuff, now I can see them. I don't have to pull my brakes and, peek my head out the window to look. So the next step after I, spend a week comparing and contrasting is I'll turn my mirrors out so that they're not going to help me. And then I'll rely on the cameras, and hopefully at the end of 4 weeks. And my brain will be retrained and I can have my mirrors removed, and then I won't have those blind spots that they make. And I will be the highest technology gal going down the road that's not driverless.
In Amelia.
In Amelia.
That's right.
Now,
Yeah.
Tim and I went through a little Mirai training back in 17.
Mhm.
Now, we stayed on a parking lot,
Mhm.
but and that was 5-6 years ago.
Mhm.
So the training now is got to be better. The technology's got to be well and improved.
Yeah, I
But,
think so.
It was really kind of neat. And now I just run between Dayton and Brownstown, Illinois, and back to Dayton 5 days a week. But I have started noticing different companies that have the Mirai on them. And it's I know what it is, but it's really funny to hear a guy say, "Hey, so-and-so, what in the world is that hanging off your truck?"
Yeah. Why? Where's your mirrors?
Yeah. What's going on here? So
Yeah.
that's awesome to know that you got that technology and working with it. I know it's coming down the pike, and I think it's awesome.
It is. The engineer at Schneider told me that they think in 4 years they're planning to be completely mirrorless in 4 years.
Wow.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So guys, let's get ready to close the show out. Before I do, I want to remind everybody about the Safety Drive for a Cure that we have going on down in Ellenwood, Georgia on March the 12th of 2022. You can go to my page and you find a lot about it. You can go to the Safety Drive for a Cure page and find a lot about it. It's just a good event. We raised money to support the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation. We've been doing this. We're in our 10th year of doing it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And come down and get in on our competition course if you want to. But most of all, come down and meet new friends and make new friends. With that said, I'm going to go to one more little commercial break. And we're going to close it out with a nice new little segment.
These are my people. This is my land. This is what we pray for. And this is God's plan. If you ain't from here, then you won't understand. This is my country. This is who I am. So welcome to my house. So welcome to my house.
We tried.
It's Speedo's rant of the day. Take it away, Steve.
Okay, this goes with something that we brought up just a little bit ago with Kelly, talking about some of your amenities. Now, this has bothered me for years and years and years, and I don't know who to talk to about it, so I figure I'll just put it on this show. It happens in truck stops, rest areas, your workplace, everywhere. Why do they got to put the toilet paper roll right down here at the floor? You almost got to lay on the floor to get toilet paper out. You hit your leg on it. Put the daggone thing up here in the air so you can reach it.
Yank it down.
So that's your Speedo's rant of the day. Hey, thank you everybody for coming on tonight. I appreciate everybody that's logged on, and y'all stay tuned for next week, Thursday night at 8:00. We'll bring another special guest on. Kelly Lynn, thank you so much for being a part of our show tonight.
Okay, well, thank you. And I just want to give, kudos to John Lex. He's the reason that I was invited into this group. And I still get choked up, even saying his name. And I know his funeral is coming up. But what a super ambassador for the industry.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
John was a great friend to everybody that he met. And he was very special to me. He was my mentor through a process with the association, and he will be missed, but he lives on in our hearts. He lives on in our hearts.
Yeah.
So with that said, everybody, y'all have a great night. Drive safe tomorrow, and we'll end with this right here.
I believe in God our Father. I believe in Christ the Son. I believe in the Holy Spirit. Our God is three.
All right, you're still there.